Good afternoon, precious friends. Thanks for joining the carnivore hippie, not the carbivore hippie, the carnivore hippie once again. You can see I'm in a bit of a different environment. I'm in the downstairs living area of my house, so that accounts for the, not in my office, so that accounts for the different background. But anyway, we talked recently in a video about dealing with family members who may be unsupportive to your chosen change in lifestyle. And we talked about how one way to deal with that is to determine, is what your loved one or coworker or roommate or whoever complaining about their problem or your problem? All right. And so how do you determine that? Sometimes it's not quite so simple. So one way you can determine whether or not you need to respond to this person's complaint is to think, is this person complaining about an action that I have done that violates their rights? Have I violated their right to property by taking possession or moving or touching their stuff, their belongings? Have I violated their right to privacy? Have I intruded somehow? Have I violated their right to personhood? Have I touched them in their body for some reason? Have I gone into the cupboards like we talked before and like maybe gotten rid of some of their food because you didn't want to see it? Have you done anything that violates their rights in a way that you would not want your rights to be violated? That's number one. If you have, and that's what they're addressing, the problem is very likely yours. But when it comes to just changing your diet around, it's hard to think of a way that you might have violated somebody else's rights, unless, like we said, you just went in and threw away some of their food because you didn't want to look at it anymore. Yeah, that would be bad. But other than that, is the person complaining because the things that you're doing with your own body are making them uncomfortable in some way? That's not your problem. If they're afraid that your health status is going to change and that makes them uncomfortable because they're not uncomfortable with the people that they care about changing, that's their problem. Are they worried that you might have some negative health effects from this diet? That's their problem, right? Anything that does not have to do with you having taken a specific action to violate their rights is probably going to be their problem. All right. Now, if you made some kind of a promise at some point and they're complaining that possibly you didn't keep the promise, maybe that's your problem. Maybe that's their problem. For instance, oh, you promised me you would make me that birthday cake for my birthday, and now you won't do it because you're afraid you can't tolerate, being around the cake and not eating it. Now I'm angry because you're not going to make the birthday cake I was looking forward to. That might be a 50-50, but that's a pretty rare occurrence. So the second thing that you can do to determine whether or not it's this person's problem or your problem is the thing that your acquaintance or loved one or whoever complaining about, is it something that you ordinarily have a perfect right to do? For instance, do you have a right to put whatever food you want in your body? Yeah, you do. So simply because so-and-so or acquaintance or family member doesn't like the fact that you're putting things in your body that make them uncomfortable, their problem. If they're complaining because you don't sit and watch movies and eat popcorn with them anymore because you're uncomfortable being around the popcorn, well, yeah, maybe that's sad. Maybe you should have a discussion with them about some other kind of activity that you can do together to spend time together. But you have a right not to expose yourself to popcorn if you don't want to. That's their problem, right? And basically, that's all it is. Have you done something overtly to them to violate their rights, or are they just uncomfortable with what you're doing for whatever reason? They're uncomfortable with you doing something that you have every right to do. That's their problem. And if it is their problem, here's the important thing. No matter how uncomfortable they get, even if they get angry at you, you have no responsibility to them to address it, except to say, out of compassion, I understand you're concerned, but I'm taking care of myself in the best way I know how. That's it. You tell them you understand that they're concerned, or you understand that they're upset and angry, but this is how you have determined to properly take care of your body. And that will be the end of it as far as you're concerned. If they want to nitpick and keep going on, you have every right to simply ignore them and tell them, I'm not going to contend with you on this. I have made my decision. I have the right to make this decision, and I'm not going to argue with you. The important thing, again, is avoid becoming angry or defensive, because there's no reason to become angry or defensive. Their feelings are their feelings. They're going to feel their feelings the same way you feel your feelings. All right? You don't have to defend yourself for doing something you have every right to do. You don't have to explain yourself unless you feel that it might be helpful to the other person and you want to explain to them to try and assist in their understanding. But you don't owe them anything. Not even if you're a wife and the person who's complaining is your husband or your mate or your spouse or your closely significant other in some way, your child. You don't owe any of them to explain or alter the behavior you have decided is in your best interest to make them happy. Okay? Stay strong. Get hooked in with community and find some support. All right? If you need some help or encouragement, hit me in the comments, hit me through an email. Be happy to have a chat with you. Don't allow naysayers, no matter how much you love them, no matter how close they are with you, to deter you. And remember, you have every right to say, I appreciate what you're saying, but I've made my decision and it's not up for debate anymore. That's an excellent, powerful tool to say, and you don't owe them anything further than that, no matter how upset they get. Just remember. Peace, love, and meat. You do you. I love you all. We'll talk later. Bye.